There are legends so powerful they feel like history. Stories whispered in secret circles, too wild to be true, yet too compelling to be forgotten. For over 50 years, one such story has haunted the martial arts world. It's a tale that begins not in a film studio, but in the dark underbelly of Hong Kong, with the world's greatest martial artist, Bruce Lee, at the absolute top of his game. The legend goes like this: Lee wasn't prepared for a fight. He was betrayed, drugged, and cornered. Surrounded by 6 of the world's most lethal assassins, each a master of a deadly art, brought together for one reason: to extinguish the flame that was burning too brightly. They gave him no warning. They gave him no chance. What they didn't know was that all he needed was 13 seconds. This is the story of what happened in those 13 seconds, a harrowing account drawn from a source that is itself a myth, the supposed deathbed confession of the only witness. For the first time, we're piecing together the tale of Bruce Lee's darkest and most secret fight. To understand the legend of the ambush, you have to understand Hong Kong in early 1973. The city was a kaleidoscope of bright lights and deep shadows. Following the massive success of The Way of the Dragon, Bruce Lee was its brightest star. He wasn't just an actor, he was a cultural phenomenon, a philosopher with fists. He had revolutionized the martial arts film industry and challenged the old guard. His philosophy of Jeet Kune Do, which rejected rigid, classical styles, was seen as an insult by traditionalists. In the cutthroat world of 1970s Hong Kong cinema, that kind of power makes you a target. The story says the invitation came through a trusted friend. It was for a secret meeting with film producers who had unspoken links to the triads. The pitch was a dream, a film with an unlimited budget, allowing Lee to express his martial arts philosophy on a scale never seen before. The location was a warehouse in Kowloon Bay, chosen for its privacy. For Lee, who was used to the industry's strange backroom deals, it might have just seemed like another part of the game. He agreed to go, alone. As Lee made his way there, the trap was being set. The 6 assassins weren't just street thugs, they were specialists flown in from across Asia. According to the mythical manuscript of The Witness, they were living weapons, each one a master of a different deadly combat philosophy, a direct challenge to Lee's own style of no style. They were supposedly a collection of killers: a Kyokushin karate master, a Filipino Kali expert, a ninjutsu shadow, a Hung Gar tiger stylist, a Muay Thai champion, and a brutal triad enforcer whose only style was winning at any cost. These 6 men were rivals, predators forced into the same cage, each believing he alone could defeat the dragon. They weren't there for a fair fight, they were there for an execution. The warehouse was vast and cold. In the center, 2 producers greeted Lee with big smiles and deep bows. The politeness was a mask. They talked about the film, about art, about a shared vision, words designed to put him at ease. Then came the tea, a customary gesture of respect in Chinese business. To refuse would have been a huge insult. A man brought out a delicate tea set, speaking of the rare blend's ability to calm the mind and focus the spirit. A cruel, twisted piece of theater. The legend describes the moment with a chilling detail. Bruce accepted the cup. Did he suspect anything? His instincts, honed by a lifetime of combat, must have been screaming. The witness claimed to see a flicker of hesitation in his eyes, but decorum trapped him. He raised the cup and drank. The poison wasn't crude. It was a sophisticated, tasteless neurotoxin designed not to kill, but to cripple. It aimed to steal his impossible speed, his flawless coordination, and his razor-sharp reflexes. For a minute, nothing happened. Then the first wave hit. A subtle shift in his stance, a barely noticeable adjustment as dizziness washed over him. The world would have started to blur, his own body feeling heavy and foreign. He placed the teacup back on the table. Click asterisk, that was the signal. The producers stood and melted back into the shadows. A heavy metal door slammed shut, the bolt locking with a deafening clang. From the darkness, 6 figures emerged, fanning out to form a circle, cutting off all escape. In that moment, Bruce Lee knew the truth. This wasn't a meeting, it was an execution. But his face didn't show fear. Instead, the manuscript says it was a look of cold, profound disappointment, a look that hardened into something primal. The dragon was cornered, and a cornered dragon is the most dangerous beast of all. What happened next, according to the legend, should have been impossible. For a healthy man, facing just one of these killers would be a life-or-death fight. For a man whose nervous system was being attacked by poison, facing all 6 should have been over before it started. The story of these 13 seconds isn't just about a fight, it's about defying reality. Seconds 1-2, the lunge of the unbreakable asterisk. The circle tightened. The killers saw a man swaying on his feet, his eyes unfocused. They saw a victim. The Kyokushin karate master lunged, a spear hand strike aimed at Lee's chest, fast and powerful enough to shatter bone. But Bruce wasn't there. His sway resolved into a fluid sidestep. He didn't just dodge the attack, he merged with it, letting the man's own momentum carry him past. As the karate master stumbled off balance, Bruce's hands became a blur. This wasn't a movie, this was the brutal efficiency of Jeet Kune Do. He unleashed a furious storm of chain punches, not to the head but to the body's most vulnerable points. A finger jab to the throat, followed by a rapid-fire volley of punches to the solar plexus and ribs. The sound was a series of sickening, wet thuds. The unbreakable master crumpled, his body folding in on itself, one down. The explosion of violence stunned the others for a half-second. Then the Muay Thai champion and the Kali master attacked at once. The Thai fighter threw a vicious low kick to shatter Bruce's leg while the Kali master lunged for his neck. They forced him to choose, assuming he couldn't possibly handle both. Instead of blocking, Bruce jumped, spinning low and fast. The Muay Thai fighter's kick whistled harmlessly underneath as Bruce's spinning heel connected with the outside of the man's knee. An audible snap, a scream of agony, and he was down. 2 down. The spin continued, carrying Bruce right into the Kali master's range. With no room to punch or kick, his hand shot out, 2 fingers extended in a precise, devastating jab straight into the man's eye. A shriek of pure animal pain. 3 down. The fight was only 8 seconds old. The Hungar Tiger, a mountain of a man representing the ancient traditions Bruce rejected, finally charged. He was a battering ram of pure muscle. Bruce stood his ground. With no room to retreat and the poison getting worse, he planted his feet and unleashed his most legendary technique, the 1-inch punch. It was a convulsive, full-body explosion of power. The massive man was lifted off his feet, flying backwards several feet before crashing to the floor, paralyzed. 4 down. 11 seconds had passed. 4 of Asia's most dangerous men were on the floor, broken or unconscious. Only 2 remained, the ninjutsu master and the triad enforcer. They stood frozen. They hadn't just witnessed a man fighting, they had witnessed a force of nature. The ninja's mind was shattered. The enforcer, a man built on intimidation, was utterly terrified. Bruce took a single step forward, and they broke. The legend says they didn't run. They just backed away, hands raised in surrender. The fight was over, not because Bruce had physically beaten them, but because he had shattered their spirits. Then, as the adrenaline faded, the poison returned in full force. He stumbled, catching himself on the table. The 13-second tempest was over. It is an incredible story, a tale of betrayal and superhuman survival that seems torn from a comic book. But this is where the legend crashes into a hard wall of reality. When you search for the facts, the story disappears. There are no credible historical records of this event. No police reports from Kowloon match these details. No hospital records show a group of men with these specific devastating injuries. And most importantly, in the mountain of biographies, interviews, and personal writings from Bruce Lee, his wife Linda Lee Cadwell, and close friends like Dan and Asanto, there is zero mention of such an ambush. The deathbed confession manuscript has never been authenticated and is never cited in any reliable source. It exists only as part of the legend itself. So if it never happened, where did a story this specific and powerful come from? The answer likely lies in the very medium Bruce Lee conquered, cinema. In 1993, the biopic Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, was released. It was a dramatization, not a documentary, and it was filled with scenes where Bruce, played by Jason Scott Lee, defeats multiple opponents with superhuman speed. One scene even shows him being ambushed and brutally defeating a rival in a grudge match, leaving the man crippled. These fictional scenes created a powerful image in the public mind. Over time, through word of mouth and the early internet, these cinematic fictions likely merged with the known facts of Lee's life, his real-life conflicts with traditional martial arts schools, and the shadowy influence of the triads in the Hong Kong film industry. The story of the 6 assassins isn't history, it's modern folklore. It weaves real elements of his art, like the 1-inch punch and Jeet Kune Do, into a fictional tapestry for dramatic effect. The story isn't a lie, it's a myth. And myths tell a deeper truth. The truth isn't that Bruce Lee defeated 6 assassins in 13 seconds. The truth is that his skill was so profound and his impact so revolutionary that people needed asterisk to create a story of that scale just to explain him. His real fights were more complex and less cinematic, but his power was so great it inspired a legend that outgrew reality. Just a few months after this supposed event, on July 20, 1973, Bruce Lee died at only 32 years old. The official cause of death was cerebral edema, or swelling of the brain, believed to be a hypersensitive reaction to a painkiller. While other theories exist, none involve a lingering poison from a secret battle. In the end, whether a drugged Bruce Lee actually defeated 6 killers in a warehouse isn't really the point. The event may not exist in the pages of history, but it lives vividly in our collective imagination. It speaks to our desire for heroes who can defy the impossible. The story of the 13-second fight may not have happened in a real warehouse, but it happens every time someone watches his films and feels inspired. It happens every time a martial artist pushes past their limits. It symbolizes the incredible power of the human spirit to triumph against overwhelming odds. The legend, in its own way, is a form of immortality. So what do you think? What part of Bruce Lee's legacy inspires you the most? Is it the documented history of the man who shattered cultural barriers, or is it the powerful myths that speak to his almost supernatural abilities? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.